move on to the first panel discussion of the day, bringing creative communities and experts closer. The moderator for this first panel discussion is Professor Gary Lyons. Professor Gary Lyons is an award-winning playwright, screenwriter, and producer who has written for the National Theatre and extensively for television and radio. Professor Lyons is the program director for the MA in Writing for Performance and Publication, University of Leeds, which he has designed and has led since 2002.
I started the master's program, which was mentioned earlier, in 2006, and ever since its inception, I've had this steady trickle of Indian students find their way to Leeds to study with me. After a while, I thought, well, there's a pattern here. Something is evidently going on that I ought to investigate a little further. So I took it upon myself to come to India early last year to do a lecture and workshop tour of a number of cities, including Mumbai, and at a workshop that was hosted by one of my ex-students, Zara Chowdhury. Is she here? I can't see her. Anyway, she runs a small film company in Mumbai, and she hosted a workshop in association with the Third Eye, and a number of members of the Third Eye were able to come and take part in that workshop. And as a result of that, discussions between myself and the Third Eye have continued, which has eventually led to the Leeds University, my university, sponsoring this event here today. So I started my career at 17 when I left school as a local newspaper reporter, so I suppose all my work has been informed, or a lot of my work has been informed to a greater or lesser extent by factual research and engagement with experts and specialists in their fields. And when I started in a more concerted way writing for Big Series TV in the UK, which was in the late 80s, early 90s, working on police shows, medical shows, a show called Soldier, which was about soldiers and their wives and families in the barracks rather than in their fighting context. A series about a high school called Chalkface. All of those series, which are mainstream peak time British series, used a number of specialists and experts in their fields as technical advisors to the shows. And I learnt through that experience, I suppose, that technical advisors can be enormously valuable on more than just a level of bringing people in at the last minute to maybe give an extra kind of additional element of authenticity and fact to a script that had already been written, but actually that engagement with an expert at a very early stage of series developments and storylining can open up all sorts of avenues for exploration of character and give ideas for storylines that if you were reliant entirely on your own imagination as a writer, you wouldn't have stumbled across. And moving ahead to 2003-04, I developed a trilogy of one-off dramas for Britain's Channel 4, which is, I suppose, the most progressive drama-making channel in the UK. These shows, one was about motor neuron disease, another one was about street crime, and the third one was about a multiracial relationship. Again, I used experts extensively at the very early stages of development as a way of helping me develop the storylines and the characters, which I felt not only brought a kind of authenticity to the fact of the action, but actually, and this may be something that people want to reflect on during the course of this session, I felt that it helps me structure the emotional pattern of the stories. And in a way, for me, that's the most important element of drama making, of drama writing, is unlocking the emotions of the characters as a way of engaging most strongly with audiences, and we can talk about that in more detail as the session continues. So I suppose that was the sort of the last thing I wanted to say before I hand over to these distinguished guests, really, is to reflect on the impact that specialists and experts can have at the very earliest stages of story creation, in the way that they can help you really identify the specifics of the kind of emotional range of the stories that you're trying to tell. So perhaps we can we can move to our special guest here. I wonder if we can move to you first, as since it's International Women's Day.